Welcome back to the channel. I'm Asura, the Pokemon trainer. When it comes to the Pokemon franchise, there have been a lot of theories regarding the games as well as the anime. Heck, there's even a bunch of theories on my channel. Now, one of the most well-known theories has to do with a war that happened before the events of the two games Pokemon Red and Blue, or if you live in Japan, Pokemon Red and Green. The theory basically says that Kanto had a war before the events of Red and Blue and Yellow, and this is mainly because there are no places of entertainment in Kanto. In fact, all you see are supermarkets, Pokemon centers with the occasional gym. No contest halls, no Pokeathlon, or no Pokemon musical centers. Not to mention, most of the adult males are tied in either organized crime, the military, or law enforcement, or gyms. And the ones who aren't tied to those things are mainly old. And it should also be worth noting that the character you play as Red has no dad, while the rival character Blue and his sister mainly just live with their grandfather, Professor Oak. There's also the fact that the Vermilion City gym leader, Lieutenant Surge, actually alludes to a war when he says that electric Pokemon saved him during the war. Now, there have been many videos discussing on what region the Kanto region was at war with. And one of the main regions that many people like to point to is mainly Johto, while other Poke YouTubers have done videos suggesting that Kanto may have been at war with Alola due to the fact that Alola is based on Hawaii while Kanto is based on the Kansai region. And if you paid attention in history class, you know that Hawaii and Japan have a history when it comes to war, that being the events of Pearl Harbor. So it would make sense on why many fans have theorized that Kanto may have been at war with Alola. Another reason could be due to the fact that Alola has a lot of references to Kanto, and not just the Alolan forms, due to the fact that the character you play as just moved from Alola. Not to mention, Professor Kukui has actually participated in the Kanto League and battled against Lance. Granted, he lost, but he still competed in the league. Plus, Professor Oak's cousin, Samson Oak, actually lives in Alola. Now, because of this, there may have been a past conflict between both Kanto and Alola. However, the one thing we don't know is who struck first, either Unova or Alola. However, judging from the sizes of both regions, there is a possibility that Kanto may have struck first. After all, the one thing they could gain from conquering Alola has to do with the additional territory that it could give them. Not to mention some of the resources in Pokemon that they could gain from conquering Alola. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. How did Alola manage to put up a fight against Kanto? After all, judging by how the region is, it looks like it's not as technologically advanced as all the other regions. Perhaps Alola may have had help from an ally, another region maybe. Possibly Alola. Unova is based on New York City, while Alola is based on Hawaii, both of which are in the United States. Not to mention, the gym leader Lieutenant Surge from Vermilion City is commonly known as the Lightning American, which means that Lieutenant Surge isn't from Kanto at all. He could possibly be from either Unova or Alola, considering that the Pokemon world equivalent of America is Unova. So perhaps Kanto may have attacked Alola, and Unova was contacted by Alola to send in their best troops, which resulted in a war with Kanto, and as a result, Kanto may have lost, due to the combined forces of both the Unova region and the Alola region. However, the evidence against this theory has to do with the fact that in the Unova games, there really wasn't any mention of any other war aside from the civil war between the two brothers involving Zekrom and Reshiram. But the possible explanation I do have is perhaps the governments of both Alola, Unova, and the governments of Kanto may have covered the whole incident up, possibly as a way to achieve peace, which could also be an explanation on why the citizens of Kanto don't even mention a war. Now, another likely region that could have been at war with Kanto could be Johto, possibly a civil war due to how close they are, and perhaps it was mainly due to possibly Kanto or Johto trying to expand their territories, and as a result, a war broke out between the two. And it could also have something to do with the two gyms that were going against each other in Saffron City, that being the Fighting Dojo, which was previously a fighting type gym that existed alongside the Psychic type gym, which means that they probably could have used the fighting type gym leaders and the gym trainers to help fight in the war, because even though Kanto had powerful psychic types like Alakazam, Johto had many dark types to counteract the psychic types. And as a result, Kanto may have used the fighting type gym leaders and his trainers to fight against Johto's dark types. And after the war, the fighting type gym leaders and trainers weren't really needed anymore, which later resulted in the Saffron City gym leaders being replaced with psychic types. Now, another possible piece of evidence that suggests that Kanto was at war with Johto has to do with the fact that Johto really doesn't have its own Pokemon League. In fact, they mainly share their Pokemon League with Kanto. Perhaps Johto's original Pokemon League may have died during the war, and as a result of Johto losing their Pokemon League within the war, as a sign of peace, Kanto may have offered to share their Pokemon League with Johto's. However, the one piece of evidence that suggests that Johto wasn't at war with Kanto has to do with the fact that Johto is less technologically advanced compared to Kanto. And this mainly has to do with the fact that Johto has more historical buildings than Kanto. In fact, Johto is more in tune with their history and cultural traditions than Kanto. And because of this, they have less technology compared to Kanto. Plus, the possible explanation for Johto sharing a Pokemon League with Kanto has to do with the fact that they may have a close relationship, possibly a shared government between the two. And as a result, they may have merged the two Pokemon Leagues together at Mount Silver, a mountain that exists between the two regions. Now, for the Sinnoh, Hoenn, Kalos, and Galar regions, there really isn't any evidence to suggest that those regions actually went to war with Kanto. And this is mainly because there's no indication of Sinnoh ever having participated in the war. The same thing with Hoenn. Most of their history mainly revolves around the two legendary Pokemon that were battling for domination over the world, while the Kalos region's war happened about a couple thousand years ago, mainly in the Mega Timeline. In the non-Mega Timeline, the war didn't happen. And the Galar region mainly had its problems with rampaging Dynamax Pokemon, so this pretty much rules them out as possible warring factions against Kanto. Not to mention, the Sinnoh region only has a connection to Johto mainly with the ruins related to Arceus, while the Kanto region's connection to Sinnoh has to do with the evolutions of Kanto Pokemon that were introduced in the Sinnoh games. Now, out of the two theories I presented in this video, the one theory I actually believe the most has to be the Alola Kanto Unova War, and this mainly has to do with the real-world connections that Alola and Kanto have. Plus, it makes more sense for Kanto and Alola to be at war with each other along with Unova due to the fact that Unova has little to no Kanto Pokemon within its region. I also believe that the Sylph Company may have been involved with the war, helping Kanto out, creating propaganda for its civilians. They also may have created Porygon to help out with the war, possibly to mess with enemy radio waves due to the fact that Porygon can go through digital space. However, due to the combined efforts of both Unova and Alola, the Kanto region lost the war and took a lot of damage, which resulted in them having to surrender and possibly sign a peace treaty with both Unova and Alola, which could explain why both Alola and Kanto are on good terms during the events of Sun and Moon. Now, because of the war, many people in Kanto lost their lives, including Red's father and Blue's parents, and the Kanto government had to rebuild with the help of the Johto region, which could explain why both Johto and Kanto share a Pokemon League. In fact, 10 years later, after the events of the original Red, Blue, and Yellow games, Kanto's pretty much at peace with both Alola and Unova, mainly due to certain characters from Kanto appearing in both the Alola games and the Unova games. For example, the character you play as in Sun and Moon is from Kanto, while in the post-game, both Red and Blue make an appearance in Alola, while in Unova, both Red, Blue, as well as Lance and the gym leaders from Kanto make an appearance in Black 2 and White 2 attending the Pokemon World Tournament in Driftville City, which could possibly mean that Kanto is at peace with both Alola and Unova after the war. Or these are all just coincidences and I'm overthinking a RPG series that constantly dumps down their games for a younger audience, while at the same time constantly frustrating their older fans who have stuck with the series for so long. But hey, I'm just speculating at this point.